doesn't matter anymore.
No, and you never have, so.
Okay. But give me the line. Tell me.
You're gonna crush it.
Do you want this in between? Are we okay?
I don't know, Eduardo, usually
Maybe a little bit closer, like one half a step closer. Perfect. Awesome.
All right. Thank you so much for coming, Governor.
Sure.
Welcome back to campus.
Thank you. Good to be back.
Yeah, so tell me, how does it feel to be back here on campus for this special event?
Oh, wow. The last time I was here was probably 4 years ago when my daughter graduated from Georgetown. So honestly, in a way, I feel like my family never left Georgetown. Every month I cut that check, I think of Georgetown. And my dad went to Georgetown. And so it's good to be back. I'm looking forward to talking to the students here tonight.
What kind of message are you hoping to impart to the students in the audience?
Well, I think it's more of a conversation. So if there's a message, I mean, I think the messages will flow both ways. I plan just to share, some observations from being out there in the middle of the jury pool, if you will. Very few men or women ever get the opportunity to run for president. And so I'm just going to share some of my thoughts from that experience, and then hopefully we open it up into a dialogue. And if nothing else, I hope I leave the students with the understanding that real people do these things. Real people run for office, and the only thing wrong with politics is not enough good people try.
I don't want to step on your toes for your talk tonight, but what were some of the lessons that you learned during this election cycle?
Lessons learned. I am still unpacking the lessons. I had served for 8 years as governor of Maryland, and before that I had served for 2 terms, almost 8 years, as mayor of Baltimore. I guess if there's lessons to be learned, it's that in one respect, timing is so very, very important in every race. Whether you're running as an unknown challenger, whether you're running for re-election, every race is a bit of a step into the unknown, and you really don't know ahead of time how things are going to turn out. You have your ideas, you have your strategy, but just when you think you understand politics, the unexpected happens, and that's that's certainly a lesson that I took home from this experience. The other lesson I brought home is that people in Iowa and New Hampshire, those early states, that really do take their responsibility seriously. And there's nothing I enjoyed more than when I was actually in those states where they had seen unknown candidates before. And the people that came out to our events, I'm very grateful for. And I enjoyed that interchange with people.
So last night we had Rick Santorum on campus, and one of the things...
We're doing the tour.
Yeah. Don't have much in common, but one of the things he implied was that there's sort of a straight line between the riots in Ferguson and Baltimore and the people we see at Trump rallies. So I wonder if you could speak a little bit to how the candidates should be handling some of the violence that's popped up on the campaign trail.
Well, I see... I think there is a tremendous amount of anger in our country. I don't know what the straight line is between the violence in the Trump rallies and Baltimore. I would be interested in hearing what his perspective was on that. What I do know is this. I do know that people feel like the economic system has been rigged against the success of their own families, and great numbers of our people, a majority of us, are earning the same or less than we were 10 years ago. And great numbers of us believe that it was our own politicians that rigged that game against us. So when that's the feeling, the sense, the belief, then voting becomes solely an act of protest or anger or fear. And I think that's how this year so far has been characterized, at least in the early goings here. It's been characterized by a lot of anger on the so-called left, to the extent we want to engage in the left-right continuum, and a lot of fear on the right. So hopefully we find a better way forward.
Mm-hmm. What do we have to look forward from you in the future? I'm talking to a number of people and putting together
chapter next for me. I will be very actively involved in the general election campaign for our party's nominee, whoever that is. And I'm also involved with a nonprofit called All About the Vote. You know, there have been a lot of laws that have been passed to make it harder for people to vote rather than easier for people to vote. So this is an organization that's committed to reaching those voters in a lot of key states that are in danger of being disenfranchised and making sure that their voice is still heard. And I'm also going to be active with a really exciting group called Project Drawdown that looks at the solutions to climate change that already exist and models and measures and maps how we can scale those so that we avoid the sort of planetary disaster that otherwise is coming, and really sees the opportunities that can fuel sustainable prosperity for many generations to come.
You'd be hard-pressed to find a college student that doesn't agree that climate change is an issue, but why do you think it's had a hard time maybe gaining traction on a national scale?
I'm not sure. I wish I knew. In one of those debates, the debate was scheduled just 3 days after the Paris Agreement, COP21, and not a single question was asked in the whole debate about climate change. So I always talked about it. I believe that climate change is the greatest business opportunity to come to the United States of America in 100 years. And I found that that message was particularly well received and really resonant among younger voters, especially. You won't find climate deniers under 30. At least that's been my experience. You don't find many people under 30 that deny that climate change is real or think their government shouldn't do something about it. So maybe in the general election, that will become more of a distinguishing issue between our party and theirs.
I know Eduardo has one question he wants to ask, but if you could just look at me when you answer, that would be great.
Okay.
So my question is, I went to a Jesuit high school back in San Francisco, California, St. Ignatius College Prep, and I know my Jesuit education really formed who I am today. And I was wondering if, I know that you went to a Jesuit high school as well. Your daughter attended Georgetown University, and the speech you're giving is Reflections on Running. So I was wondering if your Jesuit education, or maybe even just reflection in general, has kind of formed your decision-making process, or at least how you're kind of unpacking the whole election cycle now.
Yeah, I blame two groups of people primarily for my being in politics. One, my parents. And the second group of people I blame are my teachers and the Jesuits at Gonzaga College High School, where I went to high school. Throughout my public service, I keep returning to really what are the touchstones of Catholic social justice: a belief in the dignity of every person, a belief in the common good that we share, and our responsibility to protect and advance that common good, and an understanding that we're all in this together. In other words, there's a unity to spirit and matter. What we do in our own lifetimes does matter. And those are the three principles, beliefs, core beliefs that I've always found myself returning to again and again and again. And I also want to give credit where credit's due. The Sisters of St. Francis at Our Lady of Lourdes also did a good job of underscoring the importance of the corporal works of mercy, that to have faith without action doesn't really amount to very much. So these are all of the things that have informed my thinking. They're the things that compelled me to go out and try to be a candidate in the state Senate, where I lost by 22 votes. And then the year later, I ran for city council and won. And they're the things that I continue to return to and that strengthened me during my years as mayor and as governor, and indeed in this presidential bid as well. They're the things that last. They are the things that are real.
Great. Thank you so much. That's
Sure.
fantastic.
Muches.
Yeah, the more.
The more the
Represented
budget.
still, yeah. Always represented.